Welcome back, Cubs. Direwolf here. And today I'm responding to Riley Dennis and his pathetic attempt at comedic mockery in his video where he explains how to be a politically correct bigot. And honestly, the video is pretty funny, but not in the way he intended. Because the only thing better than a good joke is a complete idiot trying to make a joke and failing miserably. So, without further ado, Riley Dennis, please tell us how we're all bigots.
Hi there! Are you tired of being called a racist, a misogynist, a white supremacist, a Nazi, a homophobe, and a transphobe? Then you need to learn how to be a politically correct bigot. You see, the days of being able to shout racist and sexist slurs from the rooftops are over. People are too politically correct now. It's like for some reason people don't like blatant hatred being spewed everywhere.
I don't care what you call me, because what you don't understand is, those words do not represent my thoughts, words, or actions, or those of people like me. And that is obvious to most people. So when you describe normal words and actions as homophobic with those words, it makes you look stupid. So far from discrediting us and our arguments like you intend, you actually discredit yourself and show that your argument is based on complete nonsense. Calling us hateful does not prove us wrong, it shows you have no argument. And when you describe everything you don't like as being racist or sexist, how much power do those words really have? None. The answer is none. But sure, go ahead, Riley. Tell us how we're being undercover bigots.
Don't worry though, I've got your back. Here's how you can learn to be a politically correct bigot. Number 1, don't call black people the N-word, just call them thugs. We all know that white people should be allowed to say the N-word, but in today's political climate, you just can't. Too many triggered snowflakes out there. So instead, just call them thugs. It's just as racist on the inside, but sounds less racist on the outside.
I can't even imagine the backwards logic you used.
That is one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard someone say, ever. Thug means a violent person or criminal. So if there's a violent criminal who is black, they're often called a thug. However, the word is not used to describe people who are not violent criminals. No one describes Ben Carson as a thug. Thug is not used as a synonym for black. There are white thugs, Mexican thugs, Asian thugs, and there's even regressive leftist Antifa who are also thugs. We are not the ones associating black with thug. You are. When you make the false assumption that thug must mean black people, then you are saying that you are associating violent criminal behavior and black people, which makes you the racist. We use the word thug to describe violent criminals. You're saying that the word thug describes black people.
Number 2, instead of saying that you hate people of color, just say that you support national security. The trick here is that nobody can disagree with wanting national security, so anyone who criticizes you will look like an asshole. Then you can build a huge wall on the southern border and ban people from the Middle East and say it's for national security, even though those things won't actually make us any safer. The important part is they look like they'll make us safer, and they'll keep people of color out. It's a win-win.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. May God have mercy on your soul.
I stand corrected. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. First off, border security has nothing to do with someone's skin color, whether it's building a physical wall or other security measures. The purpose is not to stop immigration, it's to stop illegal immigration. We'll still accept permanent resident, work, and travel visas from every country that we're friendly with, yes, including Mexicans. Mexicans can still come here legally. No one's being barred based on the color of their skin. And the immigrants that we do not want to come here illegally include white immigrants. And if you don't understand, among the high threat of terrorism that we currently are living under, why it is important for people to be known and vetted before entering our country, or why we do not want to accept people from countries where they cannot be properly vetted, and that have high levels of terrorism, then you are too mentally deficient for me to help you.
Look up idiot in the dictionary, you know what you'll find?
Picture me?
No! The definition of the word idiot, which you fucking are.
Number 3, if you want to lead a harassment campaign against someone, make sure that you display a disclaimer saying that you don't condone harassment. You see, an old-fashioned harassment campaign is seen as offensive nowadays. Something about bullying marginalized people or some shit like that. So instead of telling people what you're doing, just do all of the same things, but don't say that you're doing it. Essentially, you want to make it easy for your hundreds of thousands of followers to go harass someone by giving them all the information they need, but not actually directly telling them to do it. If you make it easy enough for them, they'll do it whether you tell them to or not. And this way, you can avoid any responsibility. It's like putting a really tasty treat in front of a hungry dog and then telling the dog that it shouldn't eat the treat. It's still gonna do it, but then it's not your fault because you told it not to.
You are a sad, strange little man.
and you have my pity.
So even if I tell people not to bully you, if they bully you, it's still my fault? That doesn't make any sense. I do not control my cubs. They are their own wolves. They do whatever the hell they want to do. They are responsible for their own choices. Also, I know you're including any negative comment in the definition of quote-unquote bullying, but when you make a public statement like I am with my video, and you did with your video, then you're opening yourself up to criticism. When you make a public statement, they have the right to respond. And if they choose to tell you that you're wrong, they're not bullying you, they're stating their opinion. And if they do that, it's not because I told them to, it's because they disagree with you.
Number 4, don't call people feminazis, just call them feminist extremists.
That's way too wordy. Feminazi works just fine, especially since third wave feminism has a lot in common with the Third Reich.
Number 5, instead of saying that you hate trans people, just say that you wouldn't date them. Thanks to all the liberal, leftist, communist transgenders out there, it's now not okay to hate someone just because they're trans. That's ridiculous. You know it, I know it, we both know it. So to get around this, just say you would never date a trans person. It's a good way of getting your message across without explicitly saying it. Plus, if anyone criticizes you, you can just call them a rapist and claim that they're trying to force you to have sex with a transgender person. Because remember, implicit bias is fake news.
We've been over this, Riley. You can't force people to be attracted to things they're not attracted to. The same people who said they wouldn't sleep with a transgender woman also wouldn't sleep with a man. Your sexual preference is not a judgment on someone's value. You are a straight white man who dates women. Since you're attracted to women, does it mean you hate men? No. Does it mean you hate trans people because you're not dating a trans person? No, of course not. It just means you're not gay. When I say I would never date a trans woman, it doesn't mean I hate trans women, it means I'm not attracted to them sexually. There's also something very twisted and creepy about you trying to guilt someone and coerce someone into having sex with a trans woman when they're not attracted to them. It does sound very rapey.
Number 6, don't call yourself a white supremacist. Just say that racism doesn't exist.
No one ever says that racism doesn't exist. In fact, I would say that racism is alive and well. In fact, I see a lot of anti-white racism coming from the regressive left every day. And in tragic irony, this anti-white hate does breed hate for other groups. The regressive left's mistreatment of white people actually breeds more hate.
Laugh about the people of color who will die because of environmental racism.
They're not laughing at people dying, they're laughing at how stupid you sound when you say that the environmental policy is racist.
Number 7, instead of saying you support the alt-right, say that you're a centrist who just wants to hear both sides. This one's easy. People love centrists, even though it's a logical fallacy to claim that the two extremes are bad and the center is good. It's called an argument to moderation. Look it up.
Are you insane?
It would be a fallacy if that was their reasoning for their position. However, that is not normally the case. Political opinion is a spectrum. People land all over the spectrum, and many land in the center. And those in both extremes are the minority in the West. And just because you're one of the very many whose opinions land in the center, it doesn't mean that your arguments are fallacious, or that you're some sort of alt-right wolf in a centrist sheep's clothes. I find it pretty funny, you, as a member of the radical fringe left, accusing people in the center of being radical right.
But if you say you're a centrist, nobody can say that you're actually alt-right. And then all you have to do is ignore the left and constantly give a platform to the right. Make sure you challenge the left on all their ideas, but allow the alt-right to speak freely. It's genius, really. Say that you support free speech and hearing out both sides. People love that shit, and they won't even see how it works to empower the alt-right.
People who love free speech and debate like myself are always willing to debate both sides. And we are critical, and we do debate the alt-right. And we would jump at the opportunity to debate someone on the regressive left. However, most of you on the regressive left would never be willing to talk to us. You can't accuse us of never giving you a platform to debate your ideas when you yourself refuse to ever leave your echo chamber and debate us. And though I am critical of alt-right ideas, I do far more videos on the regressive left because their ideas have far more power and are far more damaging in our culture today.
And that, my friends, is how you can be a politically correct bigot. I hope this advice was helpful for you, and if you appreciate it, then please press that thumbs down button. I know it seems counterintuitive, but a thumbs down is the politically correct thumbs up. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.
Idiots are fun. No wonder every village wants one.
Thank you, Riley, for the good laugh. It's hysterical that you think you can convince people that normal, reasonable behavior and language is somehow bigoted. It's funny to me that you live in a world that everyone who doesn't think like you do is deep down evil and hateful. It's comical that you've wasted so much of your life struggling against imagined and nonsensical oppressions. And in doing so, you've become the intolerant, hateful bigot that you've always been opposed to. You claim to be fighting for people's rights and freedoms by taking other people's rights and freedoms away. You claim to want to help the disadvantaged by disadvantaging other people. You're so clueless that you are what you hate. Dire Wolf out. If you want to hear Direwolf and friends streaming live semi-daily on political and social commentary, as well as playing games like Quiplash and Drawful, please check out the YouTube channel Direwolf Radio, which is linked in the description of this video.